Greetings, denizens of the internet. You can call me Nitro Indigo, and lately I've been doing a project where I design characters based on a game called Amber Isle. It's basically a cute life sim for PC and Switch where you play as a shopkeeper and you have to improve the island in order to get more residents to move in. It's kind of like Animal Crossing New Horizons with less randomness. The characters in this game are all anthropomorphic extinct animals called Paleofolk. In the 13 Paleofolk challenge, I design a character for every period of the Phanerozoic Eon, which is basically the entire time that life forms with hard parts have existed. It's divided into eras, which are divided into periods, and the reason why it's the 13 Paleofolk challenge is because I decided to split the Carboniferous into the Pennsylvanian and Mississippian. But if you want to do this challenge for yourself, you can combine them, or you can make it a hard mode by including the Ediacaran as well. Anyway, so this character you're seeing right now is my 11th entry, and she represents the Paleo gene. I've been going through these in chronological order, but this was actually the first character I came up with for the challenge. She's a Basilosaurus setoides, which you might recognise from my video, What is a Dinosaur Anyway? This is a giant lizard. These are neither dinosaurs nor lizards, and this is a whale. Its name means whale-shaped king lizard because the guy who discovered it thought it was a reptile, but it's actually a whale. However, since it's really hard to change organisms' scientific names, we're now stuck with it. It's the state fossil of Alabama and lived from 41 to 34 million years ago. One of its most popular media appearances was in the second episode of Walking with Beasts called Whale Killer, where it's the protagonist. So, I suppose I should introduce you to this character. Maria Turntide is a diplomat for the Archipelagan Council. She delivers messages to settlements under the surrounding sea, where she feels much more at home, because her tiny legs and dragging tail make her clumsy on land. So I really like the idea for this character because she's based on two different parts of Amber Isle lore, that being that the island is part of an archipelago which is ruled by council, and that there are towns undersea. For example, there's a character called Azra who comes from a deep sea colony and talks about how life is different there. It was tricky for me to convey that she was a diplomat because there aren't really any stereotypical clothes or items associated with that, so I just gave her a formal-looking outfit, which is basically a swimming costume combined with a blouse, and she also has a friendly smile and she's waving to convey that she wants to make peace. In this footage at some point you might see me trying to draw a zipper on her shirt, and I ended up removing it because I couldn't get it to look good. And if you're wondering about my methods, I usually do my sketches on paper because I just find it easier than doing digital sketches. And I've drawn all the 13 Paleofolk Challenge characters this way. And in my drawings, I'm trying to imitate the Amber Isle style, so like the outlines are all darker shades of the nearby colours, and they have quite large heads, and a lot of Amber Isle characters have pupils which are a darker shade of their iris colour instead of black, so I've done that here. I originally considered giving Maria blue eyes, but then I realised the rest of her is blue, so I made them green instead so they'd stand out. And honestly, I'm not an expert at character design, and I don't think there's really any creative advice that can fit every situation in any art form. And a rule of thumb is that I just tend to disregard any advice that's just a long list of thou shalt nots unless it's talking about things that are literally actually offensive. But I have some tips that I personally stuck to when designing these characters. I think that if you want to make animal characters who are highly stylised but their species is still recognisable, you should boil them down to their most distinctive traits. For example, I think what sets Basilosaurus apart from just a generic whale are its long jaws, the blowhole in front of its eyes, its small back flippers, and a dorsal fin near its tail. And as you can see, I've included all of these on Maria. And also the colour pattern is pretty basic. If you don't know what pattern to give an animal character, just give them counter shading. It works every time to just make them a bit more visually interesting than being one solid colour. Counter shading is basically when an animal is dark on its back and pale on its underside, and you can see it with all sorts of horizontal animals, including modern whales. And I also based Maria's colour scheme on the Basilosaurus from Walking with Beasts. And if you'd like to give this challenge a try but you don't have any ideas, why not check out my random Paleofolk generator, linked in the description. If you want to check out my other entries for the 13 Paleofolk challenge, I've been posting them on my Paleofolk account, which is also linked in the description. Until next time, stay interesting!